Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orit Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record, whether you're here in the Cayman Islands or if you're following us overseas via the web. I am your host, Orit Connor, and today is Monday, July 20th, 2015. Of course, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. You, our listening audience, the owners of Radio Cayman, are welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Our phone lines are always open, and there is always someone there waiting to take your calls, usually in the form of the beautiful voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Lime. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. And of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, you can email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. Of course, For the Record would not be possible without our gracious and supportive sponsors. And For the Record is brought to you by Finance and Corporate Services Cayman, FinCor. They provide superior accounting and bookkeeping services to small and medium-sized businesses. They are located at Unit Number 9 on at Unit Number 9 on Paddington Place, Godfrey Nixon Way, Georgetown. Their telephone numbers are 746-9272, also 325-8849. You can check them out also on www.fincor.ky. They are client-focused, technology-driven, and very, very cost-effective. And we also have new sponsors this morning also. For the Record is sponsored by Digicel, and you can top up, send minutes to your loved ones in Jamaica from a Digicel retail location, or top up kiosk where you can receive double e-credits plus 7 free days of data when you send $20 or more. So Digicel is on board as well. New kid on the block for us on For the Record, but we're certainly extremely happy to have them on board as well with For the Record. Going to do a little bit of housekeeping before I go over to my guests. Just want to remind our listeners, those of you who may have attended Georgetown Primary School, and I certainly did, one of the first attendees there. And for those of you who know the history of Georgetown Primary School, or for those of you who don't know the history of it, one of these days we will talk about that as well, because at some point in time we will have members of the organizing committee on. But a reunion of all former secondary modern school students is planned for the 29th of August of this year. It will take place at Grand Ole House Restaurant, and we will be celebrating 55 years of secondary education in the Cayman Islands. This celebration will be preceded also by a teacher honoring church service at the Chapel Church of God on Walker's Road on the 29th of August at 4 p.m. Tickets are currently on sale They cost $60 each, and they're available from various committee members, and we will give you that information also at a later date and time. But a little bit too much to do for my opening comments now, as well. Of course, today being Monday, it is Government Monday, and we are pleased to have in the studio with us Mr. Ian Tibbetts, who is the director for e-government facilities in the Cayman Islands. Mr. Tibbetts, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning and thanks for having us. Looking forward to engaging the public and getting some views from them on what they want to see and hear about with e-government. Okay,
and in e-government, there are other terminologies that are used for it as well. It is also known as e-gov, internet government, digital government, online government, connected government, depending on who you talk to. And it really basically consists of digital interaction between citizens and their government. There are those who would say that we're probably a little bit behind in our development of e-government, and that is something that we can talk about as well. I also want to welcome into the studio with us this morning MLA who represents the District of Bordentown, as well as the councillor in government, Mr. Suku, Mr. Alva Suku. Good morning, sir, and welcome to For the Record.
Thank you. I'll say good morning. It's good to be back on the show, and good morning to the listening public. Looking forward to a lively discussion this morning on e-government. Hopefully we'll get a lot of questions and feedback from the public, because that's I think the primary purpose for us being here this morning is to solicit some feedback and some suggestions and engage the public and have get the interest going.
And we certainly would want to hear from businesses as well as, I would imagine, young people also. They're the ones who are really on the cutting edge of technology these days. And we talk about them being our future, and they're going to certainly be future customers of government if they aren't already that as well. Now, Mr. Tibbetts, I gave a description of e-government, but I just took that offline. So I'll give you an opportunity to explain to our listening audience exactly what it is e-government is all about and what our government is doing.
Excellent, thanks. And so, OC, I think the definitions that you gave are all valid. The e-government is referred to as many things, and which is exactly one of the first things we had to chat about doing. So what did we really mean by e-government? But I think we've standardized on a definition that really talks about the use of information communication technology in providing public services to improve access and experience for the general public, and to provide a joined up government type solution that reduces cost. And the three drivers from our leadership have been really around reducing cost to all, improving customer experience, and bolstering the perception of the jurisdiction and the competitiveness of the jurisdiction.
Okay, Mr. Suku, anything to add to that, sir?
Well, no, I think one of the key points that Ian touched on was the joined-up government approach. We've seen numerous examples in the past where we've had ministries working sort of in isolation, and on a number of important initiatives. What has, I think, hindered our progress and success rate is the fact that we haven't had this joined-up approach traditionally. What we want is for the entire government, all the ministries, to see this as a collaborative attempt, to see this as a partnership. I understand how the budget process works now that I've been exposed to it a few times, and I understand what sort of fosters that I'd call it a siloed mentality in some instances, where ministries worry about their budget and their objectives and their initiatives and what their minister wants to accomplish. What we want to do now is start to have this cross-ministerial approach where, using technology, we look to make services more efficient, workers more productive within government, make the general public more productive, especially the businesses who would be using these services. So that's for me. That's one of the key things, because when you approach things in this sort of independent manner, it's obvious to me what happens. The cost goes up. You don't accomplish what you should really accomplish, and you don't share an overall agenda. So you run the risk of I've seen examples where you potentially could actually have two ministries working on very similar initiatives, and doubling the cost or more. So that is one of the key things that I want to bring to the table, and hopefully, in the near future, we will conquer that.
Do in terms of confronting or working out the financial challenges that you have, does government have a central funding for e-government so that each ministry or department or portfolio doesn't have to concentrate on it, but let's say Mr. Tibbetts would have a pot of finances for him to work solely on that for everyone?
Not when you drill down into the detail of each individual project. No, we do have funding for the e-government initiative, and obviously Mr. Tibbetts' salary and the staff that work with him through the Cabinet Office. But for example, if the Ministry of Labour wants to launch an initiative, it would still be funded out from their budget, but it would fall under the direction of the e-government office.
Okay.
So,
sorry.
No, so in a sense, he is offering a lot of value-add-on services. Yeah.
How useful will other in-house services be in this whole project? For instance, computer services. We know that computer services has been one of the key drivers behind a lot of the initiatives. I recall in immigration, for instance, we have an immigration information system that is second to none, in the Caribbean. I would venture to say easily, all developed by in-house by computer services. So much so that we had Turks and Caicos, for instance, wanting to buy in on our system as well. How is computer services contributing to that?
I'll let Mr. Tibbetts feel that one.
So I think one of the first things to point out is this is a Cayman Islands government initiative, and as such, it's not going to be just the e-government unit. It's going to be the entire government, and computer services is a key stakeholder. I've been working very closely with the team in computer services, and there's a lot of effort, because at the end of the day, whichever way we go, whether let's say an entity decides they want to go outsourced to get some of their services, we still have to integrate with the system. We still have to work together. We still have to adhere to standards and policies, and that's where at a bare minimum, the computer services team have to get involved and have to be engaged through this, such that we can ensure that whatever is done takes advantage of any existing services that are fit for purpose, and that we can avoid duplication while allowing the flexibility for departments and ministries to provide the best solution for their sector.
Excellent. Folks, I want to remind you that you're listening to For the Record. I am your host, Orrit Connor. My guest in the studio with me this morning, we have Mr. Ian Tibbetts, and MLA and Councillor Mr. Alva Suku, and we're talking about e-government. I am sure that there are those of you out there who have had experiences in terms of interfacing with government. You may have suggestions as to how it may work much better using electronics, as opposed to having to physically always deal with government. But not only you, but we're also talking about government department as well. So interdepartmental, ministerial functions as well. We're going to a commercial break now. Please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm your host, Orit Connor, and my guests in the studio with me this morning, we have MLA and Councillor Mr. Alva Suku. We also have with us Mr. Ian Tibbetts, who's the Director for e-government in the Cayman Islands. And we're talking about e-government and the development of e-government in the Cayman Islands. It's a topic that I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about, so I am going to rely on our two experts in the studio to drive the conversation, because we do have an agenda this morning, and we want to hear from you, our listening audience, and we want to also tell you about other ways how you can contribute to this discussion as well. Mr. Tibbetts.
Right. So, thanks. And one of the things we're working heavily on right now is formulating the strategy for e-government for the Cayman Islands. And obviously, that's a strategy that has many stakeholders. One of the most important stakeholders in this would obviously be the general public and the businesses in the community. So we'd really like to hear, get input from them on what services they would like to see us add, because we actually have a suite of services today available online through, you mentioned immigration online. There are a host of others. If you just look at some of the prominent ones, like the Cayman Land Info, as another example. But there are many services that I think persons wouldn't know about, because some of them are targeted at businesses, obviously. But one of the challenges we face today is we have our e-services spread across so many different websites, pages, that today you have to basically search through roughly 100 sites to find the services that we have. So we really want to get input from people and understand what is it that they'd like to see. In some cases, we may already have it, and we can help. We're going to be addressing that through a single service portal where you can get access to all of our services. But also, we want to get feedback of the existing services. What do people find useful? What do they like? What are the ones that, do they find some that have challenges or are not quite as efficient as they'd like? And we want to test some ideas and, kind of get a feel for what is it that the people really want. Because obviously, building a great service that nobody uses is pretty useless.
Yeah. Now, will this also extend to statutory authorities and government companies? And the one that pops into mind right away is the Health Services Authority. So
the e-government initiative is all-encompassing. However, it's kind of a question of where do you start? How do you take a walk of 2,000 miles, or do you start with one small step? So it's a matter of us starting with the core government and expanding out. However, we do want to, and we have already been engaging and talking with the various authorities and not so much the government companies as yet, but certainly the authorities.
The key thing that I want to point out, on that subject is that what we created was a framework. And obviously, Mr. Tibbetts here is one of the key players in that. But it is a framework where the entire government, and that includes government-owned companies or authorities, can participate in the initiative. It's not a dictatorship of sorts where e-government sits on top and says you must do X, Y, Z, because each of those, for example, the Health Services Authority, they will know what their business initiatives are and what's important to their business. So we had to create a framework that would allow them to come to the table and say, okay, this is what we'd like to do. And then we work with them to get that done. So it's not in any way, shape, or form going to be a dictatorship where e-government says this is the vision and this is how it's going to be done, end of story. Because what we don't want is that approach. What we want is a partnership. So e-government is here to make these things happen, but based on the business priorities of those individual ministries or departments and so forth. That's the approach that we're taking.
Okay. I was looking at some figures here, and it talks about failures and successes of e-government projects in developing transitional countries. And I would say that, we fall into the category of transitional in terms of, where we're moving. And it is estimated that 35% of all e-government initiatives are total failures. 50% are partial failures, and only some 15% can be fully seen as successes. I have always pointed to the Cayman Islands as a jurisdiction that is ideal for getting things done simply because of our size. I believe that our small size gives us that advantage. What are we looking for in the Cayman Islands in terms of our success?
Well, one of the key things we have to do is build on what we already have. My approach and the government's approach hasn't been to start from scratch and tear down everything that's there. We have actually launched quite a number of very outstanding initiatives as far as e-government is concerned. If you look at general registry, you look at what SEMA's done, across the board, the Department of Vehicle Licensing, they have some very good initiatives that were put in place. What we have to do now is continue building on that success. That's the only way that we will accomplish this. If we take the approach of tear down what was there before and start over, we'll never get there. So that has been our approach, and that's working so far. But I think that what we've done by putting together this framework, we've created a steering committee which is made up of a number of individuals who have experience, but also who understand what I like to say understand the business, and understand not just e-government and technology, but understand what various departments and ministries are trying to achieve. So taking that approach, I think we will be very successful at it. The next step, obviously, is what we hear pushing for today, which is feedback from the public, not just the individuals, but the businesses as well. It has to be we have to change the sort of the mindset, and we have to encourage now people to grasp onto what we're trying to do here. We have to have the buy-in from the end users. Without that, it will definitely fail. So, in terms of, what can e-government do for you in your daily life, as a student, as a parent, as, someone who works full-time, or, someone who is looking for work, because there's even that. NWDA has a number of initiatives on the way now. Immigration as well, where we're trying to look at the whole unemployment issue. That can also be helped through e-government initiatives. So we have to. I think the key to success is to look at the needs. Don't just sit back and say we know what needs to be done, because we will shock ourselves sometimes when we do that. When we assume. So getting the feedback, getting the buy-in from the end users, I think is going to be key.
And of course, we're being exposed more and more to the electronic government. As we speak, for instance, you now want to apply for a U.S. visa. You have to go online and you have to do your processing. You want to apply for a Cayman Islands passport or a British passport now. You have to do it as well. So, if our end users have to now go out there and do that for other services, why not at the same time do it locally as well, which will make certainly make life much easier for lots of people. Not to mention the knock-on benefits of it in terms of cost savings for people traveling, and they always say what they're saying is time is money. Well,
well, if you
can save a lot of money as well.
Yeah, if you cut down on the length of the lines that people have to stand in as well, that's a huge win. Just a simple thing like getting a passport renewed, before you'd have to go, or for renewing a firearm license even, you have to go to the licensing office, fill out the form and so forth, apply for a police record at the same office, go away, come back the next day, pick up your police record, walk across to the next counter and submit it. So that whole process can be eliminated. We can put that entirely online, and no need for you to stand in line.
Exactly. Folks, I want to remind you that you're listening to For the Record. I am your host, Stuart Connor, and my guest in the studio with me this morning discussing e-government. We have MLA and Councillor Mr. Alva Suku, and also with us the Director of e-government, Mr. Ian Tibbetts. We're going to a time check and then the news. After the news, we'll be back, and we're expecting to hear from you. We want to get some feedback from you as well. Please stay tuned. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm your host, Stuart Connor, and I hope you're listening in. We want you to join in the conversation as well. We're talking about e-government initiative in the Cayman Islands. We're discussing that with MLA and Councillor Mr. Alva Suku. Also with us this morning is the Director of e-government, Mr. Ian Tibbetts. You're reaching out to the public, whether it be corporate citizens or whether it be individuals. Can you tell us the approach that you're taking to that? Surveys, roundtable meetings with people? What's going to be going on?
So, actually both. As a matter of fact, there will be a survey launched today from the gov.ky website, where we're going to be seeking input from anyone that visits the website to get an understanding of a number of things, but really looking at their opinion and if they've used some of our existing services, what they thought of them, some feedback on that, as well as some idea of what it is they'd like to see us put as our first priority going forward, both in terms of services and in terms of approaches, because e-government isn't just about online services, right? That's often the face of it that the external customer sees, but obviously it's a lot about internal automation. There are options like kiosks. E-government is very much about self-service, but it's also about joining up and streamlining and making processes efficient. So we're really seeking to get input from the general public around what are the services they want to see, and also some of the approaches. Would they rather see a smartphone app or kiosks at key locations? So you can go into the government administration building and go to a kiosk and do self-service, maybe complete all your forms, etc., and then just simply go to the counter if you don't want to pay online or whatever. So these are some of the things we're seeking input around. One of the other things, we have we're confident that we have enough guidance on this, both from around the world as well as discussions locally. Sorry, but we want to confirm that is around the views of how do people want a single service portal that they can go to and find all of our services, or are they happy with the distributed approach that we have today, where we have close to 100 sites and the services are on an individual site? Obviously, that poses challenges when you want to have a joined up government approach, where, as Councillor Saku mentioned earlier, you want to complete a customer transaction that spans different departments. So we're really seeking to extract that those views from people. What is it that they want, so that we can tailor our priorities.
Is there an international best practice in terms of the approach that you take, or does it depend on the venue, the jurisdiction?
So certainly we'll be informed by the most successful players internationally, and there is guidance. But at the end of the day, we would be a bit foolhardy to run off blindly pursuing that without seeking the input of the people that we're looking to serve and deliver this for. So while that'll inform how we execute, what we execute is more up to the public and our leadership.
And another thing to consider as well is that this has the potential to boost our competitiveness internationally. So when you think about all of the financial service providers here, if we are providing services between them and their customers, allowing them to interface with our government services, and then that will then boost the financial services regime and make them more competitive internationally. There will be certain aspects of what we do that will definitely be unique to Cayman, and we want to keep it that way as well. So, we want to, as again, as I said earlier, partner with financial service providers. They have a very broad, very extensive customer base internationally. So we have to think about that as well, and how we can help the financial services. I think that has probably been at the forefront of the whole initiative all along. What I'm trying to do now as well is bring it closer to home now and look at, the Caymanians and the local population, and what we can do to get them more involved in using e-services from government, students and so forth. One of the things we have to consider in that is, what is the availability of bandwidth throughout the households, because we don't want to have all these great services online and discover that, people don't have internet at home. So we have to talk to the internet service providers as well and see how we can make that more affordable, or, more easily accessible. So there's a lot of work still to be done, but I think it's all coming together now. Finally, we have a plan, and as Ian was talking about earlier, we need to finish this visioning exercise and strategy, and then we can hit the road running.
Okay. Now, talking about affordability, of course, that is going to be probably one of the huge challenges that we have here in the Cayman Islands, based on the market size and everything else. But how do you look to approach that in terms of with the business partners? For instance, the telecoms providers here in the Cayman Islands.
Well, Ian being a former telecom provider, I'm going to let him start off.
Right man for the job.
So he put me in the hot spot. And the other thing there that obviously I play a role as on the ICTA. I'm part of the board of the ICTA. So, but I think the key from an ICTA perspective and around telecoms is ensuring that it's a competitive market, and as a result, the market drives pricing. But also, one of the areas that we've really revamped and started to focus on now is around quality and the service, and ensuring that customers are getting what they're paying for, what they're looking to, or what they've contracted for. And I think we often take for granted what we do have here, though. And I had recently had a friend who was traveling, and their experience overseas was it was a culture shock for them, really, in a large city, around what they were accustomed to here and what they were able to get there in terms of timeliness, and bandwidth, etc. So I think we do have to be cognizant that we do have a good suite of services, but is it good enough? And can it and should it be improved? And I think the answer is absolutely it needs to be, and it should be improved. So from that perspective, I think there's a lot of work being done right now with the ICTA around ensuring that customers get what they pay for. I think the market here is driving the prices, and we through the ICTA will continue to focus on ensuring that continues and is a healthy competitive environment. What we can do in terms of bandwidth, I think, is, to me right now, going to be driven by the market forces. So it's like we're searching here to find out what does our customers want, and that should dictate what happens in the telecoms market. But we do need to keep, from a jurisdictional perspective, we do need to ensure that we stay out front. We don't wait till it's too late and we need it and somebody else has it. But that is also true around a number of other things. I don't want to make this an ICTA conversation, but things like IP version 6, the IP version 6 IP version 4 has now officially been exhausted, and so needing to ensure that there's a migration to V6. things like DNSSEC, and I recognize I'm getting too technical here.
yeah, foreign language to me.
I've worked for the last 20 years to try to forget all the technical details, the technical terminology, so that I can talk technical without being technical.
We have 2 callers online, so hopefully they're going to give us, some perspective and maybe some suggestions as well. So let's go to the first caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank the Lord. I'm getting old, but I'm still keeping up.
Well, you're in the same bracket with everybody else. Every one of us getting older each day.
That's right. That's right. But I say, why I can talk about it mightn't be what I'm talking about, the computer business and stuff, but I said we want to find out what the public would like to have. Well, I would like to see how some sort of cannon factory or something another that we could save some of what we can produce and keep on, like the limes and all of those things, because me myself got 5 lime trees in my ground, and they had the lime still could stay on the ground and rotten, and flies would back them away, but the boys are stealing them and carrying them away and selling them and buying drugs, because there's the kind that is selling, carrying away what you got and selling it, is them that is using it for drugs, and they are really doing that with me. But if I had some help to do something with them, like you had some can factor, something you could make something out of them,
or a market that you could that you could sell them to.
That's right. I would see. Well, I used to sell them some time ago when I could. When I had somebody that was helping me out with a car that they could carry me, and then it was a restaurant too that I used to sell them to, but the restaurant shut down. Now they got it for something else, big building. They use them for other things like renting out to people and all like that. But it was a restaurant at that time, and I used to, the man used to carry me up there all the time, carry the limes and the baskets and sell them right up there. But I don't sell them anymore because I'm not going to have to carry them like that now, right now. But if they had I got one grandson that is getting interested in the farming, and he's helping me out a lot, like pulling the bush and keeping the ground clean and all like that.
Okay, well, we certainly, you may think that it isn't related to it, but it certainly is. And I'm going to ask Councillor Suku to talk about it, because we see, for instance, in other developing countries like in India and Africa, where the cell phone itself has been, used now to help people to get their goods to market, to market things. So here in the Cayman Islands, she's talking about limes. We can talk about mangoes. We can talk about nizberries. We can talk about a whole lot of things that simply stay and rot because if you don't give them away, there's very little access for you to get them to market, and they're basically going to waste.
Well, I think, it's all interrelated. So, as you rightly said, the cell phone has revolutionized light manufacturing. For this lady to actually do what she's suggesting, there's a huge potential for it. I think I've noticed a trend where in the past we were importing a lot, but now the trend is that we want organic, we want healthier, locally grown produce. In order for her to spearhead some sort of business initiative that would get that off the ground, she would definitely, I think, save quite a bit of overhead if she used technology. And then in terms of marketing, depending on what her market is, it may not just be the Cayman Islands. It may be overseas. She can definitely use technology to market her product. What I think we need to focus on, and this is slightly off topic, but is looking at technical and vocational studies for our young people who may be interested in this sort of career path. We don't all have to be working in the banks and law firms. This is definitely something that I think has huge potential, and something I'd like to see develop.
And she needs to keep the location of those lime tree secrets still, because when those crackheads get to them, you see so many people running around town, and they got baskets of fruits and stuff like that, and they don't own 1 square inch of property, anywhere. Let's go to the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to you, sir, and to your 2 fine gentlemen there, the experts,
Good morning, Ms. Daphne. Hope you had a good weekend.
Oh, it was It was good. It was blessed. It was blessed. Anyway, faced with a challenge here now with my older son who's not been well, and some things you want to sort of keep under the cover, but he's just the doctors have just determined that he has a very serious illness with his with at least the right lung and partly on the left. So there's a lot of prayers going up. There's a lot of prayer and meditation. So my weekend, a lot of prayer, a lot of depending on God to take care of this situation. And he's strong mentally, and I'm looking forward to that. So I brought that in because you asked. You hope I had a nice weekend, and I did. Every morning is a good morning because it's a new day, and God has given it to us. And whatever the challenges might be, He promised that He would give us strength for that day. So right now, this is one of the big ones for me, and He is providing the strength that I need. And I find that this is not new. He's doing this all the time. But anyway, but thank God. Thank you for asking that. Gentlemen.
And just to say, Ms. Daphne, I'm sorry to hear that. And I know you're a strong lady, so I know God only gives us what we can, the burdens that we can carry. I know you can carry it, but again, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Thank you for those thoughts. And I'll tell you on this: there's no option, there's no alternative as to where I can go. The songwriter said, "Where can you go but to the Lord?" Mm-hmm. And so OC and the others there, we're all familiar with some of the things that can happen in our lives, but God is right there. I've proven this all the time. And so, having said that, I want to say that listening to you, I was really grateful that provisions are in place, or at least there is deep thought going into the fact that many individuals do not have access to computers or electronic gadgets, or even being that familiar with those things to say, well, this will benefit us. So I'm glad that this is in back of your mind when you are thinking about e-commerce and where it's taking us. And of course, as Mr. Tibbetts so rightfully said, we've got to be right there on the cutting edge and the forefront before somebody else overtakes us, and then we're left behind. So, and the lady who spoke about the limes, and then you brought, I don't know what is possible, but it's better to give things away, I guess, than to have it rot. But on the other hand, when you have, whether that's limes or mangoes or whatever it is, you ought to be able to reap the benefits of having those fruit and whatever else it is that you have in your home. So I'm not that we're going to go in depth into that, but today's technology is such that one never knows what can be done. And I think you just mentioned about certain things that are taking place with cell phones assisting people in their marketing and sales in other parts of the world. So there's a lot here, but one of the things really that I wanted to thank you for is the fact that you are keeping in mind the important fact that some people do not and are not familiar with all the electronics and the computerization and so on. But thank you so much for sharing with us. It's very interesting, and congratulations for the level that you have reached, Mr. Tibbetts, Mr. Saku, in progressing in this direction, because we want to be one of those locations and areas, particularly with being in the world of finance, where we're right on top of everything. God bless you all, and I hope you have a good day, and thank you for your prayers.
Thank you, Ms. Daphne, and the same to you. Folks, I want to remind you that you're listening to For the Record. I am your host, Orit Connor. My guest in the studio with me this morning, we're discussing the e-government initiative in the Cayman Islands. We have with us MLA and Councillor Mr. Alba Suku, and also with us the Director of e-government, Mr. Ian Tibbets. We want to hear from you as well on this topic. We've heard from 2 callers so far, but citizen engagement is extremely important. And if we don't get citizen engagement in terms of knowing the direction that the government should go, then I want to hear from our 2 guests in the studio in terms of what direction do we go in the absence of any citizen feedback. Please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My guest in the studio with me this morning, we have MLA and Councillor Mr. Alba Suku, and we also have with us Mr. Ian Tibbets, the Director of e-Government in the Cayman Islands. We have 1 caller online. Before we go to the caller, just want to read here, because certainly one of the good things, about what government is embarking on is that you don't really have to reinvent the wheel. While you have to really tweak it, fine-tune it to suit our particular situation, we don't have to invent it. And one of the reasons that you gentlemen are here this morning, to engage users successfully in e-government requires a range of initiatives and integrated planning and design processes, such as conducting an information and service needs assessment, which you're doing at this point in time, technology needs assessment, determining the availability of appropriate content and services to meet user needs, the ability of citizens to engage in e-government services due to information and technology literacy, the knowledge of the government in order to determine which agency or level of government provides the needed services or resources, usability and functionality testing, and various other things as well. So these are all the things, and the approach that you're taking, certainly the right one. I know, Mr. Tibbets, you also want to comment on the last caller, Ms. Daphne's points that she made as well. So before we go to the caller, I'm going to give you an opportunity to comment on that.
Well, first of all, thanks to Ms. Daphne for her call, and the point she made, I think, was very pertinent in this discussion, because we need to take it from a conversation that maybe the technical persons can readily engage in. However, we need to understand how the average person utilizes and or what their needs and wants are. And one of the ways I think we can do that is if we kind of when we talk about what services people want, if we think of it in the context of, well, what is it that you do today with government and that you would be better and easier if you could do it remotely. If we think of it from that perspective, I think that'll kind of help us hone in on what are the actual services that people use that we could automate for them. And the other aspect of that is, so what are their pain points today when they interact with government? What are the things that they have to do, but they don't look forward to the experience?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. O'Connor. And good morning, Emily Saku, and good morning, Mr. Tibbet.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's really a good thing, positive thing that you guys continue with this issue. E-government, I think, is a very great effort done, by Emily Saku, and I think he continuing what Mr. Elio started in the previous government. That show how Mr. Saku is a man who want to continue the good work. Whatever good work he finds, he want to continue, and that's something positive. That's something tell us that Mr. Saku as an MLA who is trying to do the good things for this country. And I know that Mr. Saku is on the other side of the PPM. I wish he is on our side. But it is positive. It is something encourage you to see an MLA who trying to do. I know the effort of Mr. Tibbet from the start. He is the one, done a very hard work, him and his team. I think all of that is a very positive thing. I wish all governments do the same, continue do the same hard work, do the positive things. We see today in the court system how the system is working, it save a lot of money for government. We see all positive things, and we need to see this improve.
What are some of the areas that you would like to see that your daily interaction with government that you would like to see improved, caller?
I mean, look at, for example, people don't have, they working. A lot of people have jobs with government, have, work, and they can't leave their work, go, for example, to licensing department or go to some government department. We want to see a lot of, applying, for example, in immigration for work permit or license your vehicle through online, or see more online work being done. You're sitting in your comfort of office. You just send the documents to the relevant department. They will review it online, and and then they send you an email. It's all done. You just need to come 5 minutes. You get whatever you want to get. We need to see more technology like this implemented. It's a great idea, intelligent idea, and it needs to be improved and implemented to make people life easier. People sometimes they have access to the internet. A lot of people, but some people they don't have it. They're not the majority, yes, but I think to see those services done by online, majority of the paperwork or something, it's safe paper, it's more environmental, good for the country, it save all this ink and paper and writing and going up and down here and there and wasting gas and wasting the people time.
Excellent.
It is a very great idea, and I think when Mr. Elio start this and Mr. Saku continue, it's a great thing. But today I just want to extend the invitation to Mr. Saku to come to the talk show Vision in behalf of Vision Management and
you're going to soon have to start to pay for commercial spots on here,
We want to see Mr. Saku to come to the show, because this show is about showing all the good thing happening. It's not about PPM or UDP or any political way. We want to show the all ideas, all opinions, and it is not for Mr. Saku to come there and we need to challenge Mr. Saku. No, we need to see Mr. Saku showing his views and good, intelligent
dialogue between all. Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, caller, for that. We have one caller, but we're going to a commercial break. And as soon as we come back from that commercial break, we will go directly to that caller. Please stay tuned. Morning and welcome back to For the Record, where I'm your host, Orit Connor. My guest in the studio with me this morning, we have MLA and Councillor Mr. Alva Suku and the Director of E-Government Initiative in the Cayman Islands, Mr. Ian Tibbets. And of course, For the Record would not be possible without our proud sponsors. For the Record is sponsored by Digicel Top Up. You can send minutes to your loved ones in Jamaica from a Digicel retail location or top-up kiosk, and they will receive double credit plus 7 free days of data when you send $20 or more. So you can't beat that for a deal. From our new sponsor, Digicel. Also, For the Record is brought to you by FinCor, Finance and Corporate Services Cayman. FinCor provides superior accounting services, bookkeeping services also to small and medium-sized businesses. They're located at Unit Number 9, Paddington Place, Godfrey Nixon Way in Georgetown. Telephone numbers, they can be contacted at 746-9272, also 325-8849. You can check them out also at www.fincor.ky. They are client-focused, technology-driven, and cost-effective. Let's go straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor, and good morning to your panel.
Good morning, Miss Carey. How are you?
Well, thank you. It's a good start to another wonderful week, thank God.
It certainly is.
Anyways, if anybody is an advocate for a paperless government, it's me. I hate to hear that I have to submit all these applications and an abundance of paperwork to go along with it. For example, when I'm applying for a company trade and business license, I have to submit an entire photocopy version of the memo in art, the certificate of incorporation. All this information is readily available under ROC, and they're next door to trade and business. They should all be in some way linked, where you can go in when the license comes in, the application for the license come in, and see that all this documentation is correct, that they have a form company, that the company is all paid up, the annual returns are all filed, and then proceed with the trade and business license application. Submitting a huge bundle each time absolutely makes no sense to me. It's just a lot of paperwork that's unnecessary, that two departments side by side could easily share the information of. And I could go on and on all morning about this, because I've got an entire long list of the convoluted issues with immigration, that why they should be completely paperless and all online. Just last week, someone was trying to get their PR letter, which would state how much they owe for their PR, which was granted. And it's been like weeks leading up to get this letter, and then finally they went down to immigration and they told him, we mailed it, but nothing has come in the mail, and nothing is sent by registered mail to you. But on your application, you provide immigration with an email address. I don't understand why they can't just scan and upload your PR letter to your email and send it to you, and do a read and acknowledge receipt to ensure that you did in fact receive it. Now, when you go down to immigration, if you haven't received that letter, they want to charge you an additional $10. That's unfair, because you're entitled to your very first letter from anything that's approved by the immigration boards or department there. It's free. The first one is free to you. Why should you be subjected to paying $10 extra because they're claiming the postal service has messed up? Mm-hmm. Well, then send it by registered mail. That way, the person that's waiting on this to receive this letter will actually have to go down and receive it. That way you know it was received. So, I'm just saying there's a lot of areas in our government that could be so paperless so quickly and so easily. And I know you have the right man for the job, Ian. He will get it done if nobody else can. So I'm looking forward to, the smooth transition of my government to go paperless and everything online, because it's going to make our lives so much easier. And cutting out the paper is what we need to do, because we don't need to add any more paper to that Mount Trashmore. Yeah. Gentlemen,
and let me ask you this, Carrie. That $10 for a copy that you just mentioned, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Would you have any hesitation in paying a little extra $10 for the convenience of having everything online?
Well, no, I would have no problem paying that. If
that's
I
money well spent.
Stand in that line and take a number and wait to be called to pay $10 for a letter that never got to me in the mail. Yeah,
I would have no problem. That's the approach we need to take. By adding value to the services, by putting them online. I'm convinced that the end user would pay probably a little bit extra for that convenience.
Not a problem for the simplicity of it. Yes, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So yeah, go for it. You have my support. I'll be keeping an eye out on things.
Thanks. So
Thanks very much, Kerry.
And not to say that we're looking to increase fees across the board, no, but when people ask the question, well, technology is expensive. How will it pay? How will you pay for it? That's one of the ways. For the added convenience, I'm sure a corporate client would pay a little extra just to have that convenience, where they're staffing out of not running up and down the road trying to pick up pieces of paper and move them around, but sitting at a desk being productive. That there's a lot of value in that.
Certainly. What do we say to those persons who are fearful that advanced technology is likely to be a threat to some jobs in the Cayman Islands, in this area? What do we say to them?
It is a perceived threat, and in some cases it could be a reality. I'll be realistic, but I'm looking at things like the Lands and Survey Department and their e-conveyancing plans, and what they've done. Instead of saying, oh well, once we go online with all these services, we won't need this much manpower. That was a reality, but what that has allowed them to do is retrain and redeploy people. So people who are doing this job that may be replaced now by technology, that person then gets some technology training and they're able to perform in all the areas. So there's a positive to this, which is you upwards mobility. You get retrained, you get to do something new. Some of these people have been doing this job for quite some time, and it's now going to be made redundant by technology. So you don't just put those people out of your business. You retrain them and you redeploy them, because what Lands and Survey discovered is when they started talking about this issue was this: they discovered that we have all the areas that are lacking resources. So you redeploy. So and then it's a huge opportunity for our young people who are coming up now and looking to move into work and careers in technology, careers not just in creating the technology but using it. We have to start preparing our young people from now, and I think we are. What we have to do as well is make sure that this high school curriculum meshes with our e-government vision as well. We have to make sure that the young people that we produce at graduation time are prepared for that world, because it's coming. Whether we want to face it or not, it will be here soon. It is here.
And I think there are a couple of things to point out. One is that there are a variety of opportunities to come for persons out of this, because if we continue down the manual paper-based process, well, the rest of the world is kind of moving on, and the private sector is certainly moving on. So if someone who wants to make themselves more marketable to the private sector, it would be in their interest to be familiar with the later technologies that, as we talk about retraining. But certainly the government has made it clear that their goal for the e-government program is not specifically a headcount reduction goal. They want to reduce cost, but there are many other ways that an e-government program can reduce costs. I'll give you a classic example, and I wish I had the actual dollar figures, but it's pretty easy to perceive the impact. The General Registry Department, they offered or introduced a number of these services online a couple of years back, and some of what Kerry was just talking about, like company formation and so forth. Now, it's not available to the general public. It is accessible from the agents and the corporate side, but just about all of the company formation stuff is actually already done online. But it's through a service that's targeted at the agents and law firms, etc. Well, as a result of their efforts with online services, they have in recent times embarked on a project to decommission 16 of the 19 printing facilities that they required to keep up with things in the past. So you can imagine, that's maintenance gone, that's consumption, power consumption, that's the consumables in terms of paper and ink and everything else. Just that
physical space.
Yeah, physical space. That's a huge cost, and they've been able to do that while offering a much faster turnaround service. Much improved. So what it's meant for them, for example, is they have over time with attrition have actually, yes, they have reduced headcount, but it's not been through layoffs or whatever. They've been able to not refill posts, for example, in some cases. And wish I had someone like Donald Dixon here to give the more precise details.
Yes.
But just some approximate numbers. I think their staff count has gone from somewhere in the order of 65 down to the low 40s over the past couple of years, while offering an improved service and reduced costs through other efficiencies.
Excellent.
But sorry, and if I had a couple of seconds, I just wanted if I jump back to Amjad. I think he mentioned about vehicle licensing. Actually, vehicle licensing is one of the services that is available. Relicensing, and driver's license renewal is a service that's already available online. I think this actually dates back to Mr. Elio Solomon, as he referred to.
Yes, I was on that committee as well.
So that just to let folks know that is available. Will it go through some transition, some changes? I'm sure it will as we work through our project. But it would be great to hear some feedback from persons that have used it to understand, what are the things that they like about it, and what are the things they'd like to see us change.
Okay, well, when we come back from this headline news, I'm going to give you one question in relation to vehicle licensing, because my daughter actually is coming today from New York, and she doesn't have a Cayman Islands driver's license, but a U.S. one, and we can talk about whether or not there is a facility online for her to be able to get another one or renew the one that she has. Please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of our show this morning. We'll have another commercial break and then we'll go straight through after that. With me this morning in the studio, we have an MLA who represents the District of Bordentown, or let's put it this way, he was elected in the District of Bordentown, and you speak to him, you say he represents everyone, irrespective of what district that you're from. If there's, any assistance or advice he can give you, he'll give you as well. So not restricted to the District of Bordentown, but MLA Mr. Alva Suku, and also the councillor. We also have in the studio with us the Director of E-Government, Mr. Ian Tibbetts, and we have on the phone lines a caller who has rejoined us, Ms. Daphne. We're going to go to the phone lines. Ms. Daphne, good morning and welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning again. Good morning. Triple, double, good morning. Double, triple. Anyway, just to say that on the subject of, many things being automated, such as phone communications, quite frankly, I personally prefer to hear a live person on the other side of the line. To me, it's not only it's this nice, friendly, warm feeling that you get, but it's more efficient as far as usually what I find is that when you have, please listen to the following options and so on. If you know your party's extension, please dial it now. Many people don't know that. But, be that as it may, there are many companies, I guess, which are looking at, cost-saving techniques and features that will assist them in a much more positive bottom line. Having said that, the seat of government is at the Government Administration Building. And any time, and this is something that I have experienced often, I would say between 12:30, midday, to like 2:30 or 3 o'clock, and sometimes even after that, you will get this automated response. You don't know the extension. You will try certain things that you've been instructed to do by this automated telephone operator. Nothing happens. You dial again, you get the same thing. And again, the same thing. I've done this sometimes 4, 5, and 6 times. Now, why did I do it so much? Because I'm thinking, if the operator is busy and it's now switched on during lunchtime to an automated operator, then, or answering system, then, well, let me wait. between those hours, and I know the government is in the process of trying to downsize. So I'm thinking to myself, well, this is another way they want to downsize. But when it comes to our country or government, all of us know the importance of the financial services industry, and it's one of the main pillars of our economy. And government, the admin building is the seat of government. I can only imagine what the frustration this may cause to someone who's trying to get through from an overseas destination to the Cayman Islands government or to somewhere within the glass house. And this is what they are up against. There are many areas in which I believe that e-commerce is going to work absolutely great. When it comes to certain positions, such as a live telephone operator, particularly in the seat of government, the government administration building, I do believe that something needs to be done, because if I had to give a rating between say 12:30 on to the 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's no way I could put good, definitely not excellent. In fact, if I had to tick it, I would say poor. So I don't know how it is possible to try to rectify that, but if you have 2 or 3 telephone operators who may be going on lunch, and I can't see that happening, then what is the excuse for this lack of service, this lack of communication? Because not everyone knows their party's extension, and in many cases, there are people who are not familiar with certain things about you push star this and the pound sign or whatever it might be. So I just wanted to put that out to you. I know there are many areas that this e-commerce and the new system of communication will work excellently, but something needs to be done about that. Mr. Saku, you may want to bring this to the attention of your government.
Well, thank you, Ms. Daphne. And I think we've all experienced some of what she's talking about there. And it's important. Customer service is one of the focus points for this e-government initiative as well. We can't sacrifice good customer service through inadequate technology. So we have to really look at how we deploy these things and how we use them and how they're configured and so on. Because she's right, it is a source of frustration. I mean, you think about someone who may be calling from another jurisdiction. It may be a potential client or a customer, and you may lose them forever. So it's the face of the business in terms of the first point of contact. So you want that to be efficient and effective. So she's right, and this is one of the things that we have to take into consideration.
Certainly. Mr. Tibbetts, off air we were talking about my question that I was posing in relation to my daughter and a provisional license. If she doesn't have a Cayman Islands driver's license, so when she comes, she will, apply for a license. If she's renting a car, then there's no problem because they will issue the license on the spot. But if you go to one of those car rental places to get one, their focus is on their rental customers, so they don't want to be involved in issuing. As a matter of fact, they tell you that you have to go to vehicle licensing, to get it done. Currently, she would be unable to do anything like that online, I take it.
Okay. So did she have she had a Cayman Islands driver's license before?
No, she never had a Cayman Islands driver's license.
So I think obviously if she's never had that, that's probably a different case. Mm-hmm. But in the case where persons have had a Cayman Islands driver's license and need to renew it, there is actually an online service available for that through the Department of Vehicle Licensing. You can renew both your driver's license and you can actually, in some cases, renew your vehicle license. Mm-hmm. For example, that's a service that I'd like to hear some feedback from persons on around how their experience. I know there are a few things that we've gotten feedback on already around the process to get started with that, because you do have to get given an e-service number, which you actually get from the Department of Vehicle Licensing. So to take advantage of this service in future, you do have to start the process by visiting the vehicle licensing. Now,
You can't get a unique number that is generated by the system for you. You have to get it from them initially.
Not today, and that kind of brings us on to a topic that probably I don't want to distract us from what we're talking about today around services and trying to extract what, but it is probably the topic for a future show, is around how we approach the whole ID system, because different countries have different systems, but in many cases you start with a process of for certain services having to physically present yourself to some entity to verify the identity. But certainly the vehicle licensing service, I don't think in the case that you've described for your daughter, where she would need an initial Cayman Islands license based on a foreign license, I don't think that service is available online today. But it certainly, what's your views? Is that something you think we need to have online?
Yeah, certainly. I think it would be. When I pick her up from the airport now, I have to take her, to vehicle license. And now, if that is some other person who's coming here to enjoy their vacation, then we've taken a huge chunk out of the vacation time that they probably paid a lot of money for, especially in terms of airfare to get here and to have to spend that period of time if they're not renting a car.
And it seems she's fallen into a gap because she's not renting a car, but she has a non-Cayman driver's license.
Right.
So she has to go in. Yeah. So it might be one of we can add that to our list of user feedback.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was exactly my point.
Yes.
OC's a user just like the rest of them.
Now, I know that the approach that you're taking now, government is trying to avoid the top-down solution to this whole e-government initiative that is taking place. So you're not trying to enforce something on people, because it would certainly be easier and simpler and probably less costly if government decided this is the way we're going to go and we're going to do it. But at the end of the day, it may not be something that the end users want. So the approach that you're taking here in terms of seeking government citizen feedback is really, really key to this whole thing. And we can't overemphasize the need for people to provide feedback. Talking about vehicle licensing, I was really pleased the other day. I went into vehicle license on the 30th of June, end of month, when it's going to be extremely, extremely busy. And I was really amazed at the speed at which the service was provided there. 20 minutes I was out of there, in terms of renewing my driver's license. The reason I had to renew it, and I'm going to shamefully say, was because it expired from February. And I just forgot what year it was going to, expire. Yeah. And when I looked at it one day and I said, wait a minute, this needs to be done, I rushed in right away. 20 minutes I was out of there, which was good.
So and that may be one of the other things that you just identified. Another one, reminders, because a lot of things, one that catches a lot of people is firearm licenses. They don't remember the date that their firearm license has expired, and you can get caught out by the police if you're in possession of an unlicensed firearm. So, I don't think they prosecute people too strongly for that sort of stuff, but you got a stern warning that, your firearm license has expired and you haven't renewed it.
Okay. So. We're going to go to our last commercial break, and then hopefully we'll have a few more callers online that I don't have to give all the suggestions, but certainly a very interesting and productive conversation. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. Morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're in the last 15 minutes of our show discussing an extremely important topic, seeking your feedback in relation to the e-government initiatives. In the studio with me this morning, we have MLA and Councillor Mr. Alva Suku. We also have with us the man who's been charged with the responsibility of seeing this through for government, Mr. Ian Tibbetts, who is the director of e-government. And I'm going to hand right over to the experts in terms of the discussion.
Okay. So let me actually kick off something, and then I'll let Al continue. Councillor Saku, sorry, continue. In terms of feedback. So, recognizing that our time is rapidly running out to get feedback on the radio this morning, that's not the only avenue for people.
Right.
There is right now available on the gov.ky website a survey. If you look over on the right hand side near the weather, there's a link there for an eGov survey where you can persons can go on and actually complete the survey to give us their input. And that's all automated in the background. So we really look forward to and want to encourage persons to take advantage of that survey. We'll also be making it available via additional government websites, but as of right now, you can actually go online and give us your input via the survey, and we'll be promoting that over the coming weeks to get additional input. But I think just some of the things we've already touched on have been very useful from my perspective around understanding what are some of the things that people really want, and some of those that I've picked up are. The notifications that we just talked about, of approaching, whether it be driver's license or other permits that are expiring, and such that you got some advance warning,
Right.
And obviously some additional services around the immigration and the vehicle licensing seems to be still a hot topic that impacts a lot of persons.
And talking about the notifications, I mean, those companies, those businesses now that rely on their bills, people paying their bills, the CUCs and the Limes and the Digicels, they send out the notice reminding you payment is due at a certain, and if you don't pay, they remind you that you haven't paid and your service is likely to be, cut off as well. So again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Government can do the same thing.
Yeah, and I pay all of my bills online now. I can't think of any bill that I pay that isn't online. A monthly bill. So even my phone bill, I get a text from Lime and I respond to it. It calls into their system and I pay the bill within a few minutes. So. These are the conveniences that we're looking to create with government as well. And I'm extremely satisfied with being able to do that, and that's the satisfaction level that we're trying to drive through doing what we're doing here.
The only complaint I have with that one is that I got one from Lime saying my phone bill hadn't been paid, and it had been paid, and I tried to send a message to say, listen, I paid that bill, but nobody answered me, so they sent it out to you, but you can't get back to them. Mr. Tibbetts?
Yeah, I'm going to leave that one alone because most people know I was with Lion for 30 years, right? But yeah, I think the key really is delivering improved customer experience and making government work better for the people, and that's what we're all about with the e-government program, and that's why it's key that we understand what it is the people want, and that's both from an individual, private resident, consumer, visitor perspective, as well as from a business perspective, to ensure that we're competitive in the marketplace. Because if you look, the actual United Nations has a e-government ranking for countries, and today we don't feature on that ranking, and that ranking is very important because it actually is used by foreign businesses looking to domicile in a location to understand what are the e-government services available to me and how easy, how difficult is it. So it is important that we make a mark and for ourselves in these areas, because e-government will become more and more critical as we go forward. Whether it's, as you said, online services or other types of e-government initiatives, but also we've got to deliver efficiency, and I think this is a key tool that we have available to us. I'm looking forward to getting more input, and because what we want to make sure is that we prioritize it. There are many things that the consumers won't request us to do naturally, right? But we need to ensure that we do the things that they do need and want for up front, because together it has to be a service that's utilized. And there are many. I should also take this couple of seconds to just promote that there are many ministries and departments today actively working on e-government initiatives. I mean, if I just speak to one very briefly that kind of got touched on earlier around immigration, the the Home Affairs Ministry, in conjunction with the NWDA, or are working on some automation of services that will allow to ensure that Caymanians get the first opportunity at jobs, but also if there isn't a suitable Caymanian, that companies have a very efficient route to getting the position filled through, whether it be a work permit or whatever the case may be. And that team is those two teams are actively working on that now.
Okay. Now, talking about feedback from the public as well, a lot of government agencies would also get direct feedback from their customers saying, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Are you able to tap into that? And what about the old-fashioned suggestion boxes? I think some government departments may still have those, where, suggestions can be offered as well. Are we tapping into those?
So, certain. We haven't actually tapped in directly into the official suggestion boxes, as you said. However, what we've done is we're tapping into the civil service themselves for input. We're also obviously engaging the chief officers, cabinet. So this is our approach to engaging and soliciting views and opinions to form that strategy and vision is all encompassing. It's looking at all the stakeholders. One of the things coming up in the near future along this line is we want to have an event for small businesses and the Chamber of Commerce and the other entities to come in and actually give their views and a more face-to-face session.
Good.
Yeah, and I mean, and that is so important, obviously, to this process. But especially engaging the civil servants, the chief officers, not just the chief officers, but the people in the trenches as well. Because they're the ones that get the experience.
Precisely, yes.
They know where the weaknesses are and where the strengths are as well, and the areas that we need to capitalize on. So that has been hugely helpful in getting this initiative underway.
Okay, final comments from both of you. We start with Mr. Tibbetts and then Councillor MLA and Councillor Mr. Suku.
Well, I just like to thank the callers that called in and express their views, and certainly I want to continue to encourage persons to contact us. They can reach me via the email at ian.tibbetts@gov.ky. Naturally, we're also setting up a egov at gov.ky website for input, and we'll be offering more surveys. We also want to do additional topics on the talk shows, so we'll do more around that circuit. But really, we need to hear from the persons in the community.
Are there any timelines, any deadlines so far in terms of where you want to be?
Well, where I want to be is I'd love to have the service fully automated next week, but but in terms of timelines, yeah, obviously, we work to the government financial cycle, and so we're pushing hard, but we're looking we want to have a service portal approach, assuming that we get confirmation that that's what people are looking for. We want to be aiming towards that towards the end of the year.
Excellent. Councillor Suku?
Well, again, just to thank everyone who called in and who's tuned in and listened. I know there's probably lots more people out there listening, interested in
Certainly, yes.
and getting some good insight from us. But yeah, just encourage the feedback. We're building this, for the Cayman Islands. So we need everybody to be involved in the process, from the students right up to the retired folks. It is an exciting development. It is the wave of the future. It is going to be the future of the Cayman Islands. I know that. Coming with my technology background and my experience, I know what is coming, what lies ahead of us. And this is an area that we can't neglect, and we have to grasp it and move forward with it, and with some urgency, because we don't want to fall behind other jurisdictions. We don't want to fall behind in what we offer our overseas clients and our local clients, and I'm speaking of the local population as well. E-citizens is what I like to refer to them as, and just in terms of from a political point of view, from being a representative, there's so much that can be done through technology just to give access to me and the members of government as well. So think about it along those lines. If you want to reach out and touch your representatives, this is technology is another way that can be done. And I do get a lot of contact now via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email, text messages. So it's happening. And I see that the public has grasped it and they want it. They're yearning for it. So we have to deliver that. But if we have enough time, I can just briefly run through, because we don't brag enough about what we've done and what has been accomplished. And there's a whole list of e-services now that are available, and I'll run through those quickly. Obviously, we talked about the vehicle and driver's licensing renewals. There's online pharmacy and patient portal at the Health Services Authority. There's birth and death marriage certificates at General Registry. You can apply for scholarships online through the Ministry of Education. There are library services through the Public Library Service. NWDA, we've talked about. The .ky domain registry through ICTA. The Gazette's office has services online now. The General Registry, so there's company registration or registry inquiries that can be done online. Certificates of good standing and cooperation, incumbency or strike-off filing, all those sorts of things can be done through General Registry now, online. Trade and business licensing forms are available online through the Department of Commerce and Investment. SEMA has a portal that's up and running. You can actually access some of their services online. Immigration has an online presence now. The Lands and Survey has, again, online mapping, land information, land registry, document tracking, all that sort of stuff, parcel change history. The Planning Department has planning, project, and permit services available. The Shipping Registry has maritime regulatory intelligence, examination, registration, and vessel name reservation. So all those things can be done online now. Aircraft registration via the Airport Authority. We've talked about the NWDA. They have an online job portal now where unemployed people, persons looking to move jobs or whatever it may be, can go online and register and search for jobs and find new career opportunities. The Cayman Islands Law Database through the judiciary is available as well. And also Customs has their Customs Import and Export Declaration online. So there's a lot that has been accomplished. And I'm not going to sit here and try to claim credit for all of that. A lot of this was done, behind the scenes, quietly. And it was done, I have to take my hat off to those who were involved, because they've really created what we think was, a solid foundation for what is to come. And we're going to build on this.
Certainly. And while it was created, may have been created quietly in the background, we want to make a lot of noise and let people know that it's available out there, for them to use as well. Folks, I need not remind you, I don't have to remind you that you've been listening to For the Record, that we've had on as our guest this morning Mr. Ian Tibbetts, the Director of E-Government, and also MLA and Councillor Mr. Albasuku, and we've been talking about the e-government initiatives in the Cayman Islands. Of course, this discussion would not have been possible without our sponsors, and For the Record was sponsored by Digicel Top Up, which allows you to send minutes to your loved ones in Jamaica from a Digicel retail location or top-up kiosk. And when you do that, they receive double credits plus 7 free days of data when you send $20 or more. And $20 or more is not a whole lot. I know a lot of you out there spend more than $20 on the Jamaican numbers each day. So, as well as the Belizean and Honduran numbers. Just a joke, but, $20 is not a whole lot, that you can offer. Also, For the Record has been brought to you by FinCorp, Finance and Corporate Services Cayman. They provide superior accounting and bookkeeping services to small and medium-sized businesses. They're located at Unit Number 9, Paddington Place, Godfrey Nixon Way in Georgetown. Their telephone numbers are 746-9272 or 325-8849. You can also check them out at www.fincor.ky. They are client-focused, technology-driven, and cost efficient. And I also want to continue to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who is less fortunate, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you don't want to do that, or if you're unable to do that, then please donate to a worthy charity, because we should always be thinking about those who need and not necessarily those who want. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to listen to your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Ebanks today at 12 noon for Talk Today, and continue to listen to the beautiful music that Miss Susan will be bringing to you until 10 o'clock this morning as well. Again, I want to say thank you to our guests. I want to extend our opening arms to welcome them back anytime that they want to talk about e-government initiatives in the Cayman Islands. For the record, will be certainly be available for you to do that as well. Have a great day, and God bless.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record.